Welcome to the ADNA Presents. This is Roy Samuelson. Today, I'm thrilled to reintroduce someone whose work sits right at the heart of what makes audio description meaningful and enjoyable. As a blind audio description quality control specialist, my guest plays a crucial role in ensuring that the storytelling experience is clear, accurate, and emotionally true for audiences who rely on AD. In their role, they meticulously review audio description tracks and scripts, and they catch everything from awkward phrasings to confusing moments to mispronounced names and mix and balances or descriptions that quite don't fit the tone of the story. It's detailed, thoughtful work that directs and shapes how blind audiences connect with the content. Their credits include 6 Feet Under for HBO Max and Netflix, all 63 episodes, by the way, as well as Miraculous, Ladybug, and Cat and the Movie, Moonwater, and documentaries like Desired Lives and The Zebra and the Bear. Their dedication to making audio description the highest quality possible helps ensure that every listener can enjoy stories. Their dedication to making audio description the highest quality possible helps ensure that every listener can enjoy stories fully and equally. I can't wait to dig into their process, their perspective, and their passion for the craft. Please welcome Rebecca Odom.
I'm happy to be here.
What do you love about audio description, Rebecca?
I've thought about this question a lot. Not only does it give me access to the visuals, but it's also, as a lot of other people in the industry have said, in art, you can be creative even though the writers are looking at a screen and writing out what they see visually. The way that they write it out is so important and can have a little bit of creation. And one writer may see something on the screen and write it completely different to someone that's seeing the exact same thing. And that's one thing that I love. And I also love that it draws you into what you're watching. I love when narrators put the emotion behind what they're saying and match the tone of the scene. And they're not just reading words and it doesn't sound like a phone book. So all of that combined, the writing and the narration, really, really bring movies and TV shows to life.
We are so aligned on so many points. This is so exciting to be able to talk with you about this. A lot of these things are covered in our interviews, but what I find really interesting about your approach here is that you've got an extra clarity as both audio description specialist working in the industry, as well as an audience member for audio description. And I'm curious if we could step back to the last time we talked. I think it was like 5 years ago, wasn't it?
When you were on my podcast.
And so since your podcast to today, what would you think is the biggest change that's happened in your experience of audio description?
There's been so much audio description added to so many things in 5 years, which is amazing. I mean, there's still a lot more content that needs it, but the list of content that does not have audio description is definitely shrinking. Also, what has changed is 5 years ago, I didn't even know that there were blind narrators and blind QC specialists, blind writers in the industry. I had no idea. And so for me, when I found that out, I was like, okay, I have a passion for this. And then I found QC and I'm like, okay, this is my area. I hope that answered your question.
I think it really aligns with where you want to be as well as where the industry is evolving. And specifically on film and TV, that's what we're focused on.
Yeah.
What do you think was the thing that got you going in the sense of, hey, I want to do this, not just I want to experience this?
I've thought about this a lot. And I think, because I did not grow up using AD. It wasn't as available as it is now when I was growing up. I also had enough vision to sit very close to the screen and see what was going on. But in 2017, my vision has gotten worse, where I can no longer see to watch TV. And so I started relying heavily on AD. The more I started consuming it, the more I was noticing the writing and the performance. And I just fell in love with the whole thing. I was just like, I want to do this. I want to take my writing skills, and instead of sitting for hours writing a novel that people may never see, I want to do something that I know will help people, not just me, but the blind community as a whole.
When you think about working with the companies, can you share some of the experiences you've had that have been really notable in the sense of the respect for your professionalism that they've given you?
Every single company that I've worked with has been absolutely amazing. I can tell you that there was one company I was working with and I had some accessibility issues. But as we all do when we use screen readers, the company I was working for went above and beyond and made sure that I could still do my job, even though the platform we were using wasn't playing right. And I really appreciated that. And it was the most amazing experience I've had. But
What I'm hearing is that because you're able to say, hey, this accessibility issue is coming up, the companies went above and beyond, you're now able to pave the way for future blind professionals in this industry. That's kind of trailblazing.
yeah,
What do you think is the favorite part about what you do? When you think about your work right now, is it the variety? Is it the storytelling? What lights you up?
it's the variety. I've watched shows and movies that I never would have watched on my own time. Like 6 Feet Under,
Mhm.
I wouldn't have watched that.
Uh,
I would not have watched that, I'll be honest. That came on 20 years ago. I was 12 when it came on and did not watch anything on HBO. I don't even think we had HBO. So I'd heard of the show, but I'd never watched it. That is one thing that I definitely would not have watched. Now, what I did for Disney, yes, I had actually seen that before I did the AD or the QC for that. And also just knowing that what I'm doing is going to make AD the highest quality possible and is going to give the blind audience the same experience as the
When you think about that experience, the name of my company is Parity Endeavors. We want to make sure that similarity is there. What is it specifically that you're doing in that work? And I think you've already mentioned it, so maybe we could touch on something that you haven't mentioned yet that
okay.
makes this so relevant, important. Why does quality matter?
It matters because if the writing isn't hitting all the right marks, it's not describing what it should be describing. The narration just sounds like a phone book. It's not going to have that same emotion
Nice.
as a narrator who is hitting all the right beats and writing that is clear and concise and vivid, where I don't have to sit there going, okay, no, what what happened? I have AD, but it's not giving me the information that I need.
Hmm.
That is why quality matters.
As you're speaking, I think about how you're removing confusion. That audio description traditionally has been seen as providing access to the visuals, but you and I both talk about how all these other elements do affect removing that confusion. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking about the quality control aspect of it and your work. Well, first of all, let's take a quick step back.
Okay.
That I think our audiences might be a little surprised to hear that you don't get to choose what titles you work on.
I sometimes wish I did because I can name 20 things that I would love to work on. Like, you know how people have dream projects?
Sure.
Well, I have dream projects when it comes to QC. When I started in this industry, I knew that I would be watching things that were not normally my interest.
Hmm.
Every time I get a script or a track, I think about the person that is going to be thrilled that this particular thing has AD. Just like I have been thrilled that something I love finally got AD after years of not having it. I'm talking decades.
Mm.
So I think about that person when I'm working. And I think, okay, this person is going to love that, we'll just say 6 feet under.
Hmm.
There's a huge fan base for 6 feet under. The whole time I was doing that show, I was thinking, okay, there are people out there that are going to be so thrilled that this has AD. And I love the fact that I get to help make that AD
Yeah.
and that they get the same experience as the one-sided.
What I love about what you're sharing is that your passion, even for titles that might be outside of your interest, is there because of the focus that you're giving.
Yeah.
Can you name a challenge that you went through in quality control that you're really proud of how you got through it? Maybe something that you could share publicly.
When I first started and I was getting scripts with no narration, I wasn't sure if I could do it. I was like, this is so hard. I don't know where in the show this AD line falls. When I don't have narration, it's the script and then it's the show or the movie. It was really confusing for a while.
Hmm.
But the more I did these script reviews, the more I got a process, like trying to match up the time codes in the scripts with the time on the show as closely like it. That helped a lot. Doing it over and over again was very helpful. And now I can do it. It's not an issue anymore. But when I first started, it was definitely challenging for sure.
And it sounds like with experience, that challenge has been reduced, less
Yeah.
charged.
Yeah. It's not as confusing anymore. I can do it and I'm pretty confident in what I'm doing now. When I got my first scripts, there was no narration because they want me to QC the scripts before the narration happens so that there's not many pickups that they have to do,
Mm-hmm.
which makes complete sense, especially with the tight deadlines that our industry is known for. I will say that doing a script review, even when I'm listening to a track, also, the show I'm doing is like 45 minutes long. That could take me anywhere from 2.5 hours to 3 hours to do.
I think people will be surprised to hear that. What do you
Yeah.
think is could you share a little bit about that time difference? I think a lot of people think, oh, it's just they listen to it live and they put some notes in and it's all done. But obviously there's a lot more work to it.
Yeah. When I have a track that's been narrated, I like to rewind an AD line several times because the first time I listen to it, I'm listening within the story. I'm making sure I know what's going on in the story. I watch the entire show, like dialogue and all, because that helps me to really know, okay, this line is confusing, or okay, this line works if I have context. So I rewind it. That's one reason why it takes a long time. And then my second and third time going through an AD line, I'm picking it apart basically and making sure that it makes sense, grammar wise, and if there's they could use that could be better and offer more clarity. With script reviews, it takes me 3 hours because I read through the AD line several times and make notes. With the script reviews, I'm just looking at the writing. I'm not listening for balance issues or mispronounced words or anything like that, obviously, because there's no narration yet. That's why it takes so long.
And I'd imagine that each pass has its own focus. And I can imagine that each show, even each episode, has its own varying length. Someone might hear, oh, it's 3 hours. Well, sometimes it might take you 2 hours, sometimes 4.5.
I think the longest that a 45-minute show took me, well, like 6 Feet Under, those were 57 minutes with no commercials. Because usually a show that has been, because I don't think HBO, when it was on TV, I don't think it had commercials. Because it was almost an hour with no commercials. So, like, say, like, I'm just going to toss out a show that I love, Law and Order Special Victims Unit. If you watch that on TV, it's going to be an hour. But if you watch it on streaming with no commercials, it's only 40 minutes. So, like, the 40-minute show is going to take way less time than the 1 hour show. It might take me an hour and a half to 2 hours to do the 40-minute show, but it might take me 3 hours to do the hour-long show.
I understand that. And that's based on the visuals. And, like you said, one of the things that I've been so excited and focused on is context. And you brought that up earlier. That affects your work, being able to use the context. Rebecca, we've covered so much. What haven't we talked about yet in this interview that you'd love for our audience to know?
I think we've talked about everything.
How can we follow you on LinkedIn?
Okay, so my last name is Odum. For the headline on LinkedIn, you're going to look for the one that says Blind Quality Control Specialist.
Thanks so much for joining us. I can't wait to reconnect with you and hear how the rest of the projects are going.
Thank you.